G'day everyone, welcome to another Toon podcast, Southern Hemisphere's biggest, best and only podcast, all things Newcastle United. I'm joined again tonight by Mark, pulling double duty back to back, mate. How you going? How's your day?
Doing well. Glad it's Friday.
Another day in paradise, yes.
Indeed.
The weekend's here, thank God. So I think before we get started, I think we'll address the elephant in the room. Obviously, we done a pod last night, Mark, with me and you about Dan Ashworth. We're not going to spend any time on that tonight. If you want to know our thoughts on it and stuff like that, go back and watch our pod about Dan Ashworth from last night. We're just going to talk about the Bournemouth game on the weekend. So, yeah, if you missed our Dan Ashworth chat, please go back and look at it. But, Mark, we're back at home. The good old-fashioned 3 o'clock kickoff, UK blackout, unheard of for recent times for Newcastle United. So 2 a.m. kickoff for me here in Melbourne. You've got a 1 o'clocker in Brisbane, which is not too bad. You can kind of go back to sleep, hopefully, and get a few hours in before you attack your Sunday. What do you make of Bournemouth?
Bournemouth are always that team that I think are better than people give them credit for, and we've certainly had our issues with them over the last couple of seasons.
I'd definitely stick my hand up for that.
Yeah, I think they are. Everyone associates with them as like this relegation team, this scrappy team. They're not going to do anything, but they're actually a pretty well-run outfit. They've got a lot of really decent players, and we'll no doubt see quite a few of them in the Newcastle shirt next season. But sorry, that joke is never getting old, by the way.
Yeah. It'll never not be funny either.
Look, they've got some players that right now, in our injury-rattled state that we are and have been for a significant amount of time, I don't think they would go amiss in terms of that squad depth that we desperately need. And I think they play a good brand of football. It's just a shame that Eddie Howe seems to have this soft spot and never ends up turning up for the games.
Yeah, so in my my diligent research after work tonight, Eddie Howe's never beaten Bournemouth since he left. I know he's only probably played them a few times, but 2 draws and obviously the 2-0 loss earlier this year at the Vitality Stadium. So his former side hasn't been too happy for him. I know he got a great ovation last season. I think it was his first time back since he left. And I think that kind of caught him off guard a little bit from what he was saying. He wasn't maybe expecting the love that he got. And I think he just let his guard down a little bit with his emotions and things like that. So he's not fully robotic after all. And I was definitely one of the people who thought they were a lot worse than what they are. So they're currently in 13th, and I think they're 7 points or 8 points clear. Hang on, I'll write this down and I'll get it right. They're 8 points clear of relegation at the moment. So I don't think they've been in that position for a long, long time in the Premier League. I don't want to say they're safe because anything could happen in the next few years, but they were doing a lot better than I thought they were. So full credit to them. But even it's funny you mentioned the injury. I don't even know if it's a crisis. Like, how long does a crisis actually last before we turn into like a pandemic? I don't want to use the word pandemic, but something longer than a crisis, because it was actually funny. The Champions League kicked off this week, and PSG were at home to, I think, the Real Social Dads. I think that was their knockout tie, and I definitely said on the pod, and I'm sure I can remember what I said, but I'm sure most of us either said it or thought it, that, you know what, like if we could just get something out of that Milan game, and whether we play in the Europa League in the middle of February, we'll get most of our players to be back from injury, and we can give it a real shake. And I've looked at the team against Milan compared to what our team would have been against the Real Social Dads, and it was worse than what it was against Milan in the last game. Like, there's every chance, and we'll get to this shortly, what our lineup might be for the weekend. But I think, our sort of back 5 would be very similar. I don't think Lascelles played in that PSG game, and Botman was injured, so Botman will come back in for Lascelles, which is fine. But then you've got Joel Linton played against PSG, so Milan, sorry. So he'll be out. So the midfielder back to Bruno, Longstaff, and Miley. And Wilson played, and Isak come on for Gordon, I think, after about an hour in that Milan game. And we'll be without, there's every chance we'll be without both of them for the weekend. So our front three of Almiron, Barnes, and probably Gordon would have been our front three, which is significant work. And that just shows the depth and how bad our injuries have been this year.
Yeah, it's just never let up, and it's been this case where we've celebrated a player getting back from injury, and look, they're on the bench, and then as soon as they step on the field, someone else gets injured and has to go off. So it's just you just cannot win at the moment, and whether or not that's just a build up of players having to play too many games because of these injuries, and so as soon as a player comes back, it's like, look, I've got a twinge. Okay, let's get you off, so we're not risking another long term case. But yeah, look, it's annoying as much as anything. It's tiring for us having to make excuses that sound like excuses but are actually really reasons.
They're facts. They're facts. Like, it's not an excuse. Like, it's a legitimate fact. And then and even with the soft tissues, I mean, Jacob Murphy, I think it was a calf complaint in the warm-up. They'd seen him, I think, unusable was the term Eddie used after the game. But, like, Callum Wilson, a pec?
Yeah.
Pulled his right hit. In a tangle. Like, I know the English way of things is everything seems to be a knock. So whatever you've got, it's a knock. Just right, like, tit or something like that in the right tit in the injury report or something like that. So his isn't I don't think he's overworked his pec. Although he is a good looking rooster and he does seem to have a pretty impressive rig on him. I don't think he's overworked the pec to the point where it's given up on him. So it just doesn't seem to be any signs of getting better. Willock's still who knows? He's getting closer.
Willock Anderson, they're both like in training officially, but just no idea whether or not they're going to play or not.
Yeah, the official time frame is getting closer. Don't. And I think we spoke about this in our chat as well. There needs to be some more clarity around injuries and things like that, and especially not so much not the day-to-day, but if you're in doubt for the weekend, I can totally understand the ducks and drakes that Eddie plays in the press conferences about whether someone's going to play that week, because it can definitely help the opposition, I guess, in planning for the game. But guys like Willock and Anderson and Joel Linton, like, I still don't think there was a proper sort of analogy or analysis on Joel Linton. I think he said, he's just out.
Yeah,
he's just out.
We've had to send him surgery.
Surgery, just the longer term stuff. Just give us a bit of an update. Like, and if Joe Willock's coming back and he's getting closer, and it's just getting, and if he has a setback, then say, look, he's had a setback. Like, don't just brush it off. We don't know. Like, just be honest with people, because I think the fans and the people who pay their money every week have a right to know, to an extent, what's actually going on.
Fed up with it as well.
Yeah,
it's just becoming this joke. Why bother listening to Eddie Howe's press conferences? Because no one's going to ask him any serious questions, and he's not going to give anything away. So you may as well just say, "Don't bother turning up, Eddie. Have an afternoon off." But it's one of those things where I get, if we're in the middle of a transfer window, you don't want to say, "Oh, look, we're really struggling. We're desperate for players." You don't jack the prices up, and you don't make clubs aware of that. Likewise, if there's a player that's kind of 50-50 for a game, you don't give that away.
Gordon last week was a perfect example.
Yes, perfect example. You don't give that stuff away in the lead up to a game where a player may or may not play, because you don't want to give the opposition manager a different game plan to work with, or different options that he has to deal with. But as you said, if it's like, well, Botman's out for 3 months with a potential ACL injury, like Anderson's broken his back getting out of bed, and we're probably not going to see him this season. Just write the player off and say, look, we may get him back for March, but we're not sure yet. We'll have to assess him when we get to that time. But until then, it's a no-go. So just let us know. So when no one's sitting there going, we've got this massive injury crisis, but hey, it's going to get better. Oh crap, no, it hasn't.
Yeah, it's a frustrating, and it's not draining. It just pisses me off that they can continually be cagey and non-committal about long-term injuries. Just say what's going on, because we want to know. Like, we're interested. We care for the player. We want them to be well. Like, we just don't want to be sort of strung along the whole time. So currently we're seventh. We're 5 points behind Man United in sixth. We've both played 24 games, so we have sort of rescued this. I think West Ham are on equal points, but we've got a better goal difference. They seem to be going backwards at the moment. So
like Villa.
Yeah, Villa's kind of hit a wall too, which is kind of weird. Maybe Emery's magic touch has rubbed off. So, having said that, they'll probably put 6 past whoever they're playing this weekend. So, doing a bit of stuff on Bournemouth tonight as well. They've scored in every game but one this season, so that really surprised me. So, how games have tended to be a bit of a shootout, back to the entertainers and the halcyon days. And happy birthday to my namesake, Kevin Keegan, for the other day. That was beautiful to see. All the tributes for Keegan brought a tear to my eye. So we're going to have to score, Mark, and it's going to be pretty hard to score without our two only strikers on the books.
Yeah,
potentially not available.
Defensive solidity has not been our thing this season. That is safe to say. We've conceded more goals already than we did for the whole of last season. We've kind of attempted in a few of our podcasts recently to try and unearth why we've suddenly gone from the best defensive record in the league to one of the worst. It's difficult to put your finger on it. There's a lot of factors at play. I'd say, we're going to have to score goals, and it's one thing we have actually done better than last season, which is lucky for us. Our defense has gone to shit, but we're actually scoring more goals and we're posing more of an offensive threat. However, as you said, if we've not got Wilson and we've not got Isak, and Gordon's kind of probably playing through a knock at the moment. You've got Murphy, who knows if he's fit to play or not, or he injures himself in training and warm-ups or something again. Miggy's had a really off day by his standards, even against not Luton,
Forest.
The front three is just like all over the shop at the moment. Barnes is coming back, but he's not 100% fit, so he's not going to make a full 90 minutes. And then you've literally got 3 players in midfield that are fit to play.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how it falls. Like, is he going to have to, like, he's been probably playing, I think it was 20 minutes maybe against Luton. Might have been half an hour against Forest as well. Is he ready to take the next step? Half an hour to an hour is a lot. But you do get that sort of halftime break as well. So, hey, can you give us what you got for 45? Hang on for another 15, and then what do we do? Like,
who do you bring on?
Is it Lewis Hall time? Is Lewis Hall going to play on a wing perhaps, or Livramento or someone like that? Because I don't think Harvey Barnes has got the fitness and the match fitness to go for 90 minutes, especially the way we've been playing with. It's just up and down the whole time. So that's definitely a one to watch. And I've still got my concerns with Murphy. I mean, if he's got to the point where he couldn't participate in the game a week ago with a calf complaint, I'm sort of skeptical of what his chances are of being involved, especially with our history with soft tissue injuries this season and things like that. Like, to what the level do they trust him that if he says he's all right, like with his shoulder, he said he was good and come back and it was out within about 20 minutes and that was him done. So that's definitely watch this space as well.
For me, I think it's probably coming down to crossing my fingers, hoping that Eddie Howe's doing his usual thing and Joe Willock and Elliot Anderson, who are all in training now, are fit and suddenly manage to make it to the bench. Because other than that, I'm struggling to know who's going to be on the bench that can make any type of impact at all. Kraft's just signed a new deal, so maybe we can play him on the right wing or something. Who knows?
Fullback FC.
It's getting bare bones again.
We're back to the Man United Carabao Cup game of 6 fullbacks on the pitch at the one time. We'll see how it goes. I'm interested also to see, we've seen against Forest, Bruno kind of play a bit more advanced, and I think we kind of play three at the back in possession, and which allowed Trippier to kind of move into that midfield role and push Bruno further forward. And I was going to say he had a great game, but he's had lots of great games playing in the position that he was naturally been playing in for a lot of his time here. But he did seem more of a threat offensively, with the ball in that advanced role, and given our sort of striker issues as well, I think that's something they're probably going to persist with in this game to try and get another goal scoring threat from midfield.
Yeah, I think that's something that we have probably missed a little bit this season is goal scorers from midfield. And the bonus, I think, of Bruno playing a little bit further up the pitch is that killer ball that he's got available to him. It's that one ball through and suddenly it's a chance on goal, or he can score goals as he did the other day against Forest. The sort of the backup silver lining of Bruno playing up the pitch is he's less likely to be involved in the midfield scrap and get that extra yellow card that we're all dreading.
I couldn't find when that expired. I tried looking for that
I've had a
before
look as
we recorded, and
it.
I don't know when the statute of limitations kind of rubs out on that. I think Gordon's 2 bookings away from suffering the same kind of thing, so you can guarantee as soon as Murphy's back and Harvey Barnes is up to match fitness, Gordon's going to get that booking to see him miss another couple of games. You can absolutely take that to the bank. So I think with that, I think Dan Burns a lock to start again. So I think the Livramento stuff, and I know he got rinsed again a couple of times against Forest, but if you kind of, and it's hard to maybe process this during the heat of the moment and during the game and stuff like that. But if you kind of maybe a couple of hours after the game, like we've got the luxury that we can wake up and we've got a whole Sunday to process it, rather than those in the UK and other areas that kind of might have a few hours and then go to bed and sleep on it. So I kind of was impressed with our defensive work against Nottingham Forest. I know they got that goal where I'm pretty strong that it wouldn't have happened if Nick Pope was in goal. I think he would have been out quick enough to get off his line and snuff that out, which kind of would have negated the Dan Burn pace issue. And I know he's slow, but it's not his fault. Like, he can't do anything about it. Like, he's just the slow guy because his legs are 10 foot each. But
I think in the build-up or just after that game, I think I've pointed out to people on social media, Dan Burns not quick, but then again, Kyle Walker's meant to be this awesome, quick, pacey defender, and Joe Willock made him look pretty ordinary when we played Man City last season. Like he was running past him like he was standing still. So it happens to the best. I don't think Livramento's got the pace to have dealt with the players that Luton and Forest had up against Dan Burn either. Yeah, he may have covered a little bit better. He's got definitely got more pace than Dan Burn. He's not exactly slow, but I think those players are like some of the quickest in the league. They're going to blitz past anyone.
Yeah,
so it's about limiting the chances more than anything, isn't it?
Well, that's right. Yeah, if it's great to, that's not great, but people seem to want to pin Dan Burn for his pace and things like that. But that's kind of the result of the problem. Sometimes I like to look at where the problem started. Like, how did 2 passes cut our whole cut like 9 players out of the game and left Dan Burn one-on-one with Dubravka to try and help him out, which he should have probably helped him out. But so there was that goal. The second goal was a deflection that no one can do anything about. And then after half-time, I don't think Dubravka made a save. No. So I think for all their huffing and puffing, we actually defended really, really well. And I think
I was really impressed with the change in formation to give midfield more rigidity, because Kieran Trippier was playing more in a midfield role, more almost. So he was almost kind of filling in as that like
that right-sided midfielder.
Which I think cut out a lot of that space that we've been suffering from in the last few games because of that defense dropping deeper, because they're aware that Dubravka is not going to come out to collect the ball like Nick Pope would. So it is this cluster of this perfect storm of things going wrong all at the same time. And I feel bad that Dan Burn seems to be copying it all, where people are not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, and I think this might sound pretty stupid, and maybe it is, but Martin Dubravka is sort of early to mid 30s, I think, in age. He's not going to change the way he plays the game.
No,
He's a concrete boots, terrific shot stopper and stuff like that. It's much easier to kind of change the shape in front of him, and guys can just make little adjustments to the role than trying to, I wouldn't say teach him, but get him to a level of confidence where he can actually play high and play out of his box and feel comfortable with that. So that's obviously the way they've gone with it.
To do that role, it's got to be a split-second decision, and you've got to fully commit to it. And
if you think it's too late, So I think that it seemed to work all right. So I think we might stick with that until it stops working, and then we'll think of something else to do. So just back on Bournemouth, doing my research as I'd like to do. Their last win was December 27th in the league, so they haven't had a great, and that was at Fulham, but then Fulham rolled them 3-1 last weekend in the return fixture. So they did beat us 2-0, but that was after the I think it was the Dortmund game away in the Champions League, and not sure if you remember, Mark, but Kieran Trippier had that conversation. I don't think it was an incident, more of a conversation with the fans saying, like, pretty much we're all fingered, mate. Like, I don't know what you want us to do. Like, we're cooked. So we're trying our best. Hopefully things sort of turn around on the weekend. So going through their injury list as well, they're not expecting anyone back. Philip Billing, the midfielder, he's still suspended until, I think, March the 3rd. So they're not going to get anyone back from the team they played last weekend. I guess their main threat is Dominic Solanke. He's a fantastic player, wonderful goal scorer for them as well. He scored against us when we played. We scored 13 goals in the league this season, which was pretty impressive for a team who's normally towards the lower end of the table. It's a fantastic return to have someone of his ilk and his, I guess, reliability to score is a massive weapon for them.
Yeah, I think he was one of those players where I think Howe signed him in his last season in charge at Bournemouth, but he was a pretty raw, younger player, and Callum Wilson got injured, and they had like a whole heap of injuries that led to Howe struggling again. It's like
Callum Wilson got injured. What a turn up!
It's just like it happens to the best of them, apparently. But if you look at the way Bournemouth have kind of progressed. Solanke over the years, he's become like a real solid focal point for them. I think he's not blisteringly quick, so I think we probably stand a better chance of coping with his pace. He seems to have developed more of like that, not really a traditional target man player, but he's a bit more of an aerial threat, a bit more physical player. I think our defenders should hopefully manage to match up a little bit better with him than they have in the last few weeks with some of the forwards. I think a lot of the threats probably going to come from supporting players to Solanke that may or may not drag our defenders out of position and to create that little bit of space for Solanke to move into. Yeah,
so I'm definitely anticipating goals in this one if our prize of anything to go by, and like I mentioned earlier, they've scored in every game bar one, so we're probably going to need at least 2 to win the game. Prefer maybe a couple more because I'm sick of twitching and getting sick gut for the end of the game with Luton and Forest 2 weeks in a row like that. I think it was 6 minutes maybe in injury time against Forest, and I think I put in the group chat, you couldn't have driven a toothpick up my ass with a sledgehammer. I was that tired about the whole situation. But
it might be a nice reality check for some of the new fans that have just started following this. It's
welcome to the
always
ride.
Rosy. This is what we do. Nothing about Newcastle is ever easy.
I'm surprised that so many fans don't have six packs. The amount of clenching they would do if their stomach for what we've been through, especially if you're a longer term fan, is going to be frightening. Like, you'd think everyone would be absolutely chiseled from the amount of ab work, 2 hours of ab work they do, sometimes twice a week, which is frightening.
It's the stress release of the beers afterwards that is probably
Oh, they're probably already completely refreshed before they even get into the game. Maybe that plays a part. Whereas it's a bit hard for us in the middle of the night. And I know if I have a couple of confidence boosters before bed, there's every chance I won't be in a state to wake up. I'll sleep through and catch it in the morning. So I do like to get up and watch, and I think we all kind of get up and watch, provided it's not on a work night and at a reasonable hour. So, having said that, mate, we'll get your prediction. What are you thinking?
I'm going 2-1 to us. I think they will score, as you said. I think we will score. I think we've played some nice football. It all depends on who's playing, whether or not we can either score more, but we've got to create more chances. And hopefully Miggy finds a purple patch again, or we have a shock where Wilson does get past fit, or Isak comes in, and we manage to get that centre forward that's going to score us at least 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah. So I haven't checked my phone. I think Eddie's press conference is probably going on now. So no one's probably playing. I'm not sure if we'll have enough fit players to start the 11 if I went on my phone and go through Eddie's press conference. So it could be Graham Jones up front for all we know, mate. And if maybe Tyndall up front, Jones more of a holding midfielder, and you can just guarantee if Tyndall scores, he'll put his arm around him, and he whispers the sweet nothings in their ear after a win. Him and Tyndall, if Tyndall gets on the score sheet. So I'm going to go for a 3-2. I think it's going to be similar to last week. We do seem to attack more at home than what we do away, but having said that, it's definitely led to us being in a vulnerable position to concede again on the other way. So I'm going to go 3-2 win. I don't care who scores. I'd love Botman to score. I think in a win, get one. Miley, I wouldn't mind Miley. He's probably due another one as well. Longstaff has seemed to be getting into that habit of making that late sort of run that doesn't get picked up into the box as well. So I wouldn't mind that. Harvey Barnes could be a good
another Harvey Barnes special.
Yeah. If I keep going, I'll probably reel off everyone, and I can't be wrong then. But I've only got 3, so let's go. I'll give Miley, Gordon, and Barnes can be my 3 as well. So I'll go 3-2 win. Hopefully we're right. I don't care about the score, just a win, and
as long as I get 3 points.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Man United.
Keep in touch with that top 6, top 7.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Man United tripping up a little bit, whether it's a draw or a loss. I'm not even sure who they're playing. I forgot to look at that. So, yeah, hopefully that happens. But that'll probably wrap us up, mate. Thanks very much for jumping on again, back to back, 2 nights in a row. Well, I'm not sure what we get for that. If it's a gold star or maybe a little trophy or something.
We'll earn beer at the weekend.
Yeah, we'll earn beer tomorrow night. That sounds good to me. I've actually got a 30th on Sunday, so I might pin the ears back there, and hopefully no one from work's watching this. So, thanks very much, mate. And yeah, like I said, so sorry we didn't talk about Dan Ashworth. We spoke about it last night. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, please go back and watch it. Make sure you subscribe as well. We're pumping out our subscriptions at the moment, so it all helps and helps us kind of become who we want to be. We want to be a really big channel and have the opportunity to have some really great guests and speak to some pretty special people and hear their thoughts on Newcastle and sort of things all related to Newcastle as well. So it all helps. You might not think it's much, but just clicking that like button and subscribe button really helps us a lot, Mark. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us, mate. And
no worries.
Let's finally we can put our back to bed, and maybe that keeps us off for a couple of weeks because we've punched a couple out 2 nights in a row. So
we've done our duty.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned. Probably Sunday night we'll have our review out for the Bournemouth game, and hopefully it's a win and 3 points for Eddie Howe's mighty Magpies. We'll catch you then.
Excellent. Take it easy.